Good morning, children. I am Sashagiri Rao, your social studies teacher from Dr. Bisan School. Children, welcome to Dr. Bisan School through Digital Learning Program. Children, today we will discuss the lesson Changing Cultural Traditions in Europe, 1300 to 1800. Children, to see the history of any country or the world or any continent is divided into three parts. They are ancient history, medieval history, and modern history also. Similarly, the European history also divided into three. They are ancient history, ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. Children, if you see the years for these periods, ancient period is up to 400 AD and the medieval period is from 400 to 1300 AD and this modern period is again divided into two. They are early modern period, early modern period. This early modern period is from 1300 to 1800 AD and modern period. This modern period is from 1800 to present. So in this way, the European history was divided. It is just for easy understanding. Children, at each limit, there were remarkable incidents took place. So that's why they are divided into these. We will see all these in the lesson when it goes on. Okay, children? Ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. The lesson Changing Cultural Traditions in Europe, 1300 to 1800, falls in the category of early modern period. Okay, children? Now, let us say the first subtopic, the ancient medieval world in Europe. Ancient medieval world in Europe. Children, if you observe the ancient period in European continent, the continent was dominated by a great empire called Roman Empire. Okay, children, in ancient period, European continent was dominated by Roman Empire. This Roman Empire was consist of most parts of the European continent, Turkey and Egypt also. And during this ancient period, two great cities were flourished. The two cities were Rome and Alexandria. Rome and Alexandria. We know that, children, Rome is the capital city of present day Italy country, and Alexandria is a port city in Egypt, which is in the African continent. Okay, children, these two cities were flourished, and the great culture of Greek and Rome were of higher order. That means they were given higher importance, they had higher value also. They included art, painting, sculpture, literature, and philosophy, and even science also. They were all having a great importance and great value of those times. Children, this great Roman Empire came to be declined after 400 AD. So this Roman Empire was declined. So then no great empires or large empires were built in the Western European continent. Even cities too declined. Then people started living in villages. Okay, children? This was the situation took place after 400 AD. We know that empire is larger than a kingdom. Kingdom is a small area where it is ruled by a king. So some kingdoms were together ruled by an emperor under empire. So during this period, after the decline of Roman Empire, no large empires were established in the Western European continent. Okay, children? And during this period, the society came to be dominated by a system called feudalism. Feudalism. Children, feudalism is nothing but it is a system in which landlords control the society. Agriculture was carried on with the help of farmers or peasants who were called as serfs. S-E-R-F-S, serfs. Serfs were the bonded agricultural laborers who were working under these landlords. These landlords are mostly warlords. That means they were engaging in wars with other lords for the occupation of their lands and everything. So if you see the condition of these peasants who are the serfs, they were working under the lands of these landlords for agricultural production. They were working in these manufacturing activities conducted by these landlords, and they were fighting for these landlords whenever required also. And in addition to this, they need to work on their own agricultural land, which they had to survive, sustain their families also. So the conditions of the peasants were so miserable during this time. And if you see the culture of this period came to be dominated by again church. So here church officials asked the people to follow the Christian faith, and clergy asked the people not to think for themselves and to listen to the teachings of the clergy, what they told even. Children, so if you see the conditions of people in socially, it is dominated by feudal lords or landlords under the feudalism, and culturally or religious point of view, it is dominated by Roman Catholic Church. So, as we already learned that peasants' conditions were so miserable, sometimes they rose in revolt even. So they began resisting these all feudal landlords, and they started fighting against these landlords. Such a revolt took place in the year 1381 in England. In the year 1381, there was a revolt in England. Now, they worked against these church officials, that is clergy, as well as feudal lords also. They freed themselves. Now they were enjoying the freedom. So such revolts took place in other countries too. Okay, children, because how long they enjoy, how long they bear all these miseries? They need to work for landlord, agriculture and production activity. They need to fight even, and they need to work on their own land to survive their life even, for the families even. And sometimes whenever these are engaging in fightings, there was no security for the life of the peasants, because they were ultimately working as soldiers in the army in the fighting activity also. They were sufferers even. That's why they took in revolt. They moved in revolt in the year 1381 in England, and in the other parts of the countries also such revolution took place, and they freed themselves from this control of this feudalism, and they ended serfdom also. This serfdom, S-E-R-F-D-Y-M. Serfdom is a system in which the peasants were working to the landlords as bonded agricultural laborer. So the system was ended in England in the year 1381. Okay, children? Now these were free, and during the same time, distant trade was also conducted with China, Arabia, India, and other parts also. And new cities were found, and artisans and traders were living in these cities even. Okay, children? And they were not having any control about these. And these cities were ruled by themselves through municipalities. So they were not under the control of any large landlords, not a part of any empire. They themselves were ruled through municipalities. In this way, city-states were developed in European continent. These are all the changes took place in the European continent in the medieval period. Children, during this period, there was a great cultural change took place, which is called as Renaissance. Which is called Renaissance. There was a great revival of Greek culture, is called Renaissance. Renaissance or rebirth. Rebirth. What is born here again? We already learned that in the ancient period there was great Greek culture and literature, everything. That was declined with the decline of Roman Empire. This was not now brought to revive again. That revival of great Greek culture is called Renaissance or rebirth. Okay, children. Now people were not under the control of these clergy. They wanted to end the limits put by these clergy. So now long distant voyages were conducted on the seas by these explorers as well as traders. And these people wanted to find new sea routes as well as new places also. In this way, new cities were also discovered. We already learned that Columbus discovered America in the year 1492. Vasco da Gama discovered sea route to India in the year 1498. In this way, all these new places were discovered. Okay, children, new places were found, even new sea routes were discovered also during this period. Okay, children, because of voyages conducted. Even kings sometimes these kings also supported finding sea routes. That is after 1453 when Constantinople was blocked. That means land route was blocked towards the eastern part of the world. Okay, children. And people now started questioning the clergy also. Clergy asked the people to do many things for the sake of religion, and they asked to pay huge tributes to the church even. Now, these common people wanted to question everything. Science was changed, science was developed during this period, and common people questioned the clergy to find out the simplest and direct ways to reach the God even. So these are all the changes took place in the culture in the medieval period. Okay, children. Now, there were a lot of sources were available to understand the history of European continent from the 14th century. Okay, children, 14th century. Lot of resources were available. Those sources like documents, books, sculpture, paintings, buildings, and trade activities, many more. These are all helped these historians to study the history of the European continent, and they wanted to know what were the changes took place and how these changes took place and why these changes took place also. These are all helped to understand the history of the European continent. Okay, children. And during this period, from 19th century, historians used the term Renaissance to describe the cultural changes. From 19th century onwards, historians used the term Renaissance to describe the cultural changes took place in European continent only. Okay, children. So, what were the changes took place? Let us say these changes. So, the historian who emphasized most of the term Renaissance was Jacob Burckhardt. Jacob Burckhardt. He wrote a book called The Civilization of Renaissance in Italy. The Civilization of Renaissance in Italy. So this is the name of the book. The Civilization of Renaissance in Italy was the book written. So in this book, he asked his readers to read the great Greek culture, literature also. And he asked the readers also to tell the story how a new human culture came into existence in the cities of Italian cities. So what was developed now? A new human culture. New human culture was developed during this period in Italian cities, according to Jacob Burckhardt in his book, The Civilization of Renaissance in Italy. So, this culture he wrote was, what culture he wrote? Human culture. This culture he wrote was human beings were able to take his own decision and develop the skills also. According to Burckhardt, this human, now whatever the human beings were there, this human was modern in nature and contrast to the medieval man, where the thinking of the medieval man was dominated by the church or clergy only there, religion. But here, modern man was thinking vibrantly. It was not dominated by any other person or clergy or anything else. So that's what a new human culture was developed according to the Jacob Burckhardt in the new Italian cities. Okay, children. Next, let us see the revival of Italian cities. The revival of Italian cities. Children, in your textbook, page number 146, Italian cities picture is given. The country of Italy and Italian cities were also mentioned here. You will come across many cities in this lesson. Have a look on this, children. And I will show the same country, Italy, in the world map also. Children, look here. This is all African continent. This is European continent. And between these two, we have Mediterranean Sea. In this Mediterranean Sea, this is the country, Italy. This is Italy country. Okay, children. So, traders entering into Mediterranean Sea. Especially Arabs means they coming from Arabian area to Italy like this, and conducting trade with China and other things through land route earlier. Whenever this land route was blocked, they are finding sea routes to other parts of the world like this. Now, the distant trade from the European continent was conducted to other parts of the world. And because of this distant trade, new cities, the cities in the Italian coast were sprung up. That means they were developed into great cities. Even in the 12th century, the Mongols opened the trade with China. Mongols. They opened with a trade with China and other western parts of the world also. So because of this trade, these cities of Italy played a key role. And most of these cities were not at all under the control of great empire at all. They themselves considered as city-states. They started ruling themselves. They are not under the control of any other people. Okay, children? So such two great cities were Florence and Venice. Florence and Venice. These were republic in nature. One such vibrant city again was Venice. Venice was a vibrant city. Venice and Genoa. Children, these cities were quite different from other cities in the European continent. So these were not at all part of the great empire. Here, no clergy was dominating, no landlords were having any political power at all. So they were ruling themselves independently only. These were developed into city-states. These were called as city-states. So they were independent in nature. They were republican states. Even though sometimes these cities were occupied by the military and military rule existed, the idea of citizenship was not at all ended. As people participated in administration, they developed citizenship earlier. Now, even though they were ruled by the military powers, the idea of citizenship was not at all ended. In this way, the new cities in Italy played a key role in Renaissance or reviving the great culture. Okay, children, in the European continent. Now, let us see humanism and universities. Humanism and universities. Children, because of the great Greek culture, now humanism developed. People started thinking in the nature, everything, and the great Greek scholars of the ancient period who studied the nature in connection with human beings were called as humanists. They were called as humanists. So these humanists wanted to live in the present rather than in the future lives. So they wanted to have connection with everything which is available in the nature, which is useful for human beings. Okay, children, these were the called as humanists, and they became interested in the world rather than in the future life. Everything is available for the life was read by these humanists. Okay, children, and if you see in the year 1453, a city called Constantinople was occupied. So Constantinople is now called as Istanbul. Okay, children. Earlier it was called as Byzantine. So this Constantinople was occupied by Turks, who are mostly Muslims. So these Turks occupied Constantinople. So land route was blocked now, and whoever Greeks were living in the Constantinople, they flooded to Italian cities, which were sprung up there as city states. So some of these scholars who went from Constantinople to Italian cities, they carried the great Greek culture along with them. And whenever they settled in Italian cities, they asked Italians to read the great Greek culture. Even there was a curiosity developed in studying these cultures, the literature of Greek, and people were interested in learning little bit Greek language also. And universities were also developed to spread the idea of these cultural changes took place in European continent also, to teach the cultures also, to teach Greek language and everything also. And people were carefully studying these cultures, and they were spreading in many parts of the world even. So here we have a Swiss scholar, sorry, a Dutch scholar, Dutch, D-U-T-C-H, Dutch scholar, Erasmus, E-R-A-S-M-U-S. Children, Dutch. The Dutch are the people of Netherlands. Okay, children? The people of Dutch called as Netherlands. The Dutch means Netherlands people only. So Erasmus belonged to a country called Netherlands. Children, this term Renaissance originally started in Italy only, Italian cities, and later it spread to England, France, and Netherlands also. That's why here Netherlands scholar Erasmus studied all this Greek literature. He earnestly and passionately studied Old Testament, O-L-E, Old Testament, which is in Greek language. Children, Bible consists of two parts, Old Testament to New Testament. So he studied New Testament. He studied New Testament, which is in the original Greek language, and he studied other Greek literature, Greek Christian literature also. And he criticized some false practices which are found in Greek literature in his book Praise of Folly. Praise, P-R-A-I. Yes, the praise of folly, F-O-L-L-Y, folly. Folly means false things. We are worshipping false things. So it is a sarcastic book. He criticizes the false practices of the Greek literature, false practices in Christian religion, which were there in the Greek literature. Who was he? He was a Dutch scholar called Erasmus. Okay, children? So these are the things which we learned today. Children, once again, try to recollect what we learned today. We try to understand the changes took place in the ancient period and medieval period, and we try to understand the word Renaissance and how this was reflected the great Greek revival, the great revival of Greek culture, and we try to understand Burckhardt also, who wrote a book, The Civilization of Renaissance in Italy, and we saw the revival of Greek cities also, like Florence, Venice, Genova, and these were developed into city-states, and we saw the humanism also, how developed humanism in European continent. And there was a criticizing the sarcastic work of Praise of Folly done by a Dutch scholar Erasmus also. Thank you, children. Have a happy learning.